We're here with astonishing events that have marked world history, incredible coincidences, and ancient legends. What we're going to tell you today might rewrite history. Fireballs falling from the sky, mysterious beings living underground, kings who reigned for thousands of years, and much more. In this video, you will witness extraordinary information that will make you question human history. The sky is falling. Imagine yourself standing on a hill, gazing up at the sky engulfed in an unnatural glow. Something big is coming, bigger than the moon, and it's hurtling towards Earth. Its fiery tail streaks across the sky, casting an eerie light on the world below. You know there's no escaping this fate. The only question is, how will you spend your final days? Around 13,000 years ago, something extraordinary may have happened. A cosmic event that could change the course of human history forever. Scientists believe that a cluster of comet fragments slammed into Earth, causing a cataclysm as devastating as the one that wiped out the dinosaurs 66 million years ago. Something this intense would surely have been recorded by ancient cultures, wouldn't you think? This idea was explored by Dr. Martin Sweatman from the University of Edinburgh. He suggests that this impact could be a turning point for human civilization. Back then, humans had already been around for hundreds of thousands of years. However, their way of life began to change significantly around this period. Dr. Sweatman and his team focused on the possibility that this comet impact was linked to major shifts in the early Stone Age, particularly in the Fertile Crescent. This region includes modern-day Egypt, Iraq, and Lebanon, and is often considered the birthplace of civilization. This is where people began to settle down, farm, and build permanent structures, moving away from the nomadic hunter-gatherer lifestyle. Yes, it all happened here. The team's research focused on geological evidence from North America and Greenland. They found traces of platinum, nanodiamonds, and materials that had been exposed to incredibly high temperatures. These are all telltale signs consistent with a major impact event. These findings support the idea that a comet impact could have triggered the environmental changes that led to the Younger Dryas. This was a period marked by a sudden mini ice age that lasted for about 1,300 years. This event caused widespread extinctions and forced humans to adapt rapidly. What do you think was going through our ancestors' minds as they witnessed something so terrifying falling from the sky? One of the most intriguing pieces of evidence comes from Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, thought to be the oldest temple in the world. The massive stone pillars there may have been erected to commemorate this cosmic disaster. Dr. Sweatman believes that this catastrophic event could be the spark that ignited the development of human civilization. So, what do you think? Did civilization really begin with a bang? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. While the theory is intriguing, it's still a matter of debate. The research so far provides strong clues, but more evidence is needed to fully understand how this comet impact may have affected the ancient world. Ancient Egypt and Mesoamerican culture. Historians have been puzzled by the uncanny parallels between the cultures of ancient Egypt and Mesoamerica. Could these similarities be mere coincidence, or is there a deeper connection waiting to be uncovered? Separated by vast oceans and thousands of years, these two civilizations seem to have more in common than we might think, in terms of language, architecture, and even social practices. So how did these similarities arise? One of the most fascinating parallels lies in cranial deformation, a practice where elites in both cultures elongated their skulls to distinguish themselves from the lower classes. In Mayan culture, this practice was first recorded by Spanish historians in the 16th century and was prevalent among the ruling class. Meanwhile, in Egypt, similar elongated skulls have been found in depictions from the Amarna period, particularly among the daughters of Pharaoh Akhenaten. The coincidences continue with the languages of these civilizations. When you compare words from the ancient Egyptian language with words from the Nahuatl language spoken by the Aztecs and Mayans, you find some surprising similarities. For instance, the Mayan word for day is a haw, which means place or time in Egyptian. Ham means ball court for the Mayans, while hem means small ball in Egyptian. These aren't isolated examples either. There are seemingly hundreds of similar word concepts connecting these two languages across time and space. Practice doesn't directly link the two civilizations. It is another strange parallel that adds to the mystery. This linguistic connection raises eyebrows because traditionally, scholars haven't recognized a significant link between the ancient Egyptian and Mesoamerican languages. In the 18th century, linguistic similarities between languages like Sanskrit and Greek were discovered, and this was enough to convince scholars that these languages descended from a common ancestor. However, when it comes to the similarities between Egyptian and Mesoamerican languages, scholars have hesitated to draw the same conclusion. Why? Because there's no historical evidence of any contact between these cultures. At least none has been found so far. With no records of trade, war, or communication between them, it's hard to prove that the ancient Egyptians and Mesoamericans ever encountered each other. But let's set aside the lack of historical evidence for a moment and focus on the striking similarities. Both the ancient Egyptians and the Mayans used hieroglyphs, which are symbols representing sounds and ideas. The first European explorers to notice the resemblance named the Mayan writing system hieroglyphic, like the Egyptian system. While each has its own unique characteristics, it's quite intriguing that both cultures developed such sophisticated writing systems independently. But the similarities don't end with language. Both the Egyptians and Mayans built impressive pyramids, and not just any pyramids, step pyramids, which involve a series of steps leading up to a peak. And what's even more fascinating is that both cultures associated these pyramids with serpent imagery. In both civilizations, the serpent symbolizes rebirth and renewal, key concepts in their beliefs about life and the afterlife. But how is this possible? It's almost eerie that two unrelated cultures on opposite sides of the world developed such similar architectural and religious practices. Considering all these similarities, some Victorian-era scholars speculated that both the Egyptians and Mayans might have descended from a single advanced mother culture. They may have even come from the continent of Atlantis. This idea, known as diffusionism, suggested that an ancient civilization spread its knowledge to both sides of the Atlantic. However, modern scholars have largely rejected this theory. Instead, they favor the idea of independent invention, which argues that human cultures can develop similar technologies and ideas without direct contact. But is it really just a coincidence? Could the ancient Egyptians and Mesoamericans be connected in ways we still don't understand? The truth is, we may never know for sure, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Edgar Allan Poe's Maritime Omen. Edgar Allan Poe is often regarded as the master of macabre tales, but one story in particular seems to blur the line between fiction and reality in a truly unsettling way. His novel, The Narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket, not only delves into the darkness of the human soul, but also eerily foreshadows a real-life tragedy that would unfold years after its publication. Poe's only full-length novel, it tells the grim tale of Arthur Gordon Pym, a young man who gets swept away on a terrifying sea adventure. What begins as a thrill-seeking voyage soon descends into chaos after a series of misfortunes and mutiny. As Pym and a few others are left adrift at sea, they face starvation and desperation. In a gruesome turn of events, the survivors resort to cannibalism, drawing lots to decide who among them will be the next meal. The unlucky victim, a man named Richard Parker. This fictional tale could have remained just another one of Poe's many horror stories, but what happened nearly 50 years later? In 1884, a yacht called the Mignonette set sail from England to Australia. The crew, including a young cabin boy named Richard Parker, found themselves in a dire situation after their ship sank in the middle of the ocean. Stranded on a lifeboat with no food or water, the men faced the brutal reality of survival at any cost. Just like in Poe's novel, they eventually resorted to cannibalism. And guess what? The real-life Richard Parker was the one who was sacrificed and eaten. The uncanny coincidence between Poe's novel and the real-life event sent chills down many spines. How could Poe have predicted this horrific incident with such accuracy? While some argue it's just a bizarre play of fate, others wonder if something more mysterious is at play. What do you believe? These ant friends. Imagine the world is ending. The sky is ablaze and you're just waiting for the end. Suddenly, you and your family see some strange figures emerge from underground. These subterranean people don't seem scared. They seem calm and collected as they offer you and your loved ones their help. One of them says, "Come with me if you want to live," or something to that effect, and then turns back to go beneath the surface. Would you follow them? The Hopi Native Americans, who have lived in the high desert of northern Arizona for thousands of years, tell a fascinating tale about beings known as the Ant People. These mysterious creatures are said to have saved the Hopi tribe not once, but twice, during catastrophic events that destroyed the world as they knew it. According to Hopi legend, the first disaster destroyed what they called the First World. It was annihilated by fire, which may have been caused by volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts, or even a massive solar flare. The second disaster, which destroyed the Second World, was an ice age, possibly caused by a pole shift or advancing glaciers. During these perilous times, the Hopi people were guided by a strange cloud by day and a moving star by night, which led them to Sotunang, the sky god. This god introduced them to the Ant People, Anu Sinom, in the Hopi language. People led the Hopi into underground caverns, providing them with shelter and food during times when resources were scarce. These benevolent beings even taught the Hopi the importance of storing food, a lesson that would prove vital to their survival. Interestingly, another legend suggests that the reason ants have such thin waists today is because they sacrificed their own food supplies to help feed the Hopi during these dark times. The Ant People aren't just a survival story, they have connections to the stars as well. The constellation Orion, which has a narrow waist, can be seen in the winter sky where the ants were hidden in their underground hills. These ant hills are quite similar in structure to the Hopi's kivas, which are underground prayer chambers. The Hopi even have a ceremony called the Pawamu, or bean dance, that they perform inside these kivas every February. The ritual involves sprouting beans in these warm underground chambers, a technique they claim was taught to them by the Ant People. The connection between the Ant People and other ancient civilizations is where the story gets even more intriguing. The name of the Babylonian sky god was Anu, just like the word for ant in the Hopi language. Additionally, Naki means friends in Hopi, so Anunnaki in Hopi means ant friends. This bears a striking resemblance to the Sumerian Anunnaki, who were said to be beings who came from the heavens. Could these ant friends be the same mysterious beings that the Sumerians spoke of? People may also have connections to ancient Egypt. Pharaoh Akhenaten from the 18th dynasty was depicted with an elongated skull, almond-shaped eyes, and a thin, long body. These are features that are eerily similar to those of an ant. His appearance has even been compared to the pharaoh ant, a species native to West Africa. Furthermore, the Egyptian word Sahu, meaning stars of Orion, is remarkably close to the Hopi word Sohu, meaning star. However, Sohu doesn't refer to just any star. It refers specifically to the stars in the Orion constellation. Coincidence? I don't think so. Recent discoveries at White Sands National Park in New Mexico may provide evidence to support the existence of these ant people. The park, now a chalk-white desert, was once a lush area surrounding ancient Lake Otero. In 2009, ancient human footprints were discovered there, and radiocarbon dating determined them to be between 21,000 and 23,000 years old. This finding pushes back the timeline of human habitation in the area by thousands of years, from the previously accepted range of 13,000 to 16,000 years. These footprints, along with ancient stone tools and rock layers found in the area, suggest that humans thrived there much earlier than scientists initially believed. Mixed in with these footprints were seeds from ancient grasses that were carbon dated to verify the age of the tracks. Jack Carr, a researcher and author, highlighted the significance of this discovery. He noted that this is the same region where the Hopi claim the ant people took them underground during a global cataclysm, and the age of these footprints aligns perfectly with the Hopi legend. So what do you think? Is it possible that these ant people really did save the Hopi when the world ended? And could these beings be the same as the Anunnaki gods worshipped by the Sumerians? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.